Hello again, and now it's time for the second part of my Q&A, and I will try to answer the rest of the questions that you sent me. As I did last time, I will also finish this Q&A session with actually singing a song from my upcoming album X-Ray to Hell. But first the questions. We have a question from Korea, from Ijiwan. Hello Henrik, I love your songs, especially the healthcare center in Vinslöv. So I want to ask if its lyrics are based on your real stories. P.S. I'm sorry if my English is awkward. English is not my first language, but Ijiwan, don't be sad about your English. My Korean is much worse than your English, I promise. And I will actually combine this question with a similar question that came from Sulaiman Adham. Which songs of the ones you made about health issues were inspired directly by personal experiences? Most of my songs are based on stories that I have met in my hospital, on my clinic, with my patients, or in my real life. To make some examples, I can look on my latest album, Dr. Feelgood. The first song is I Am Corona. Of course, I'm a Corona is based on real events. Otherwise, if you have missed that, I think you have been sleeping for a long time. And I wrote this song in the beginning of the pandemic because in the beginning of the pandemic, all the information, it was so depressing, and you have to do this, otherwise you'll die, and it's dangerous, it's a deadly virus, and of course it's a bad virus, but if you want to get people's attention, it's better if you try to make it a little bit funny so that people spread the video and they learn. So I put in the symptoms there. We had a little bit dance and stuff to make people remember what are the symptoms and what should I do. The third song, when I did my internship, I was sitting on a grand round at my hospital for about 10 years ago. A young colleague of mine had had a rough night and she told the colleagues about it, and then suddenly one of the older colleagues started, oh, but that wasn't too bad, when I was young, we did this and this. And then the professor started, oh, that wasn't too bad because when I was young we did this and that. I suddenly felt that I was sitting in the middle of that comedy sketch made by Monty Python, for Yorkshiremen or something. When they sit there and they brag about how their childhood was, it was so terrible, and it becomes worse and worse. Track number 4, Manicold, of course, it's based on a true event. It's about my own colds because, when I get a real cold and I lay there at night, I really think at some point now I will die of this. The fifth song, the ballad of the superstar surgeon Paolo Macchiarini, is of course based on true story, and that song is the true story. It's the only song that I've written that is exactly about what happened. And if you didn't know it, this actually is, it's a tragic event that happened in Sweden about 10 years ago. This surgeon Paolo Macchiarini, he came to Sweden and he started to collaborate with Karolinska Hospital, and they would try to do this plastic tracheas that were coated with stem cells in order to help a couple of patients, and everyone believed it, and everyone believed it too much. Do you know the Danish famous fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes? This was exactly The Emperor's New Clothes. Everyone believed it, but no one wanted to see that this isn't working. And only in Sweden, 5 people got killed. He tried to sue me because of it, because he thought that my song was his biggest problem. It became my most streamed song on Spotify. So I can say thank you, Paolo Macchiarini, for that. Track number 7, The Revenge of the Nerd. It's not exactly me it's about, but it's part of it. It's me, and part of the song is colleagues, I've observed. The Nigerian letter. I've had a lot of Nigerian letters. I have never answered them though, so I don't know, maybe I have missed millions of dollars. I will never know because I haven't answered them, but I've thought if you would answer, what would happen? And the last song is Never Google Your Symptoms. That actually was the song I wrote after I had 3 patients that came to me that had been referred because they were hoarse, they were having bad voices, and all of them had Googled, and all of the 3 of those people, they were scared to death. Am I having a vocal cord carcinoma? How long time do I have left? And I just have to look at them with a laryngoscope for 5 seconds, and I could tell all of them that no, you're just having a laryngitis. That's how it works. I pick up something at hospital and if I think it's entertaining and I think it's a lot of good information, I write a song about it. Now we'll get to the next question from Caio Pedroso. Is 1, what is the meaning of life? And 2, what advice would you give to a young person in terms of how to live a good life? Thank you. Now we get to the easy questions. To answer the first question, what's the meaning of life? The short answer is of course 42. The longer answer I would like to combine with the second question, what advice would be to a young person. I'm kind of an existentialist. I think the meaning of your life is like to enjoy your life and do good. And if you can combine those two things, I think it's perfect. I don't believe in life after death. I don't think you should save yourself to something that comes after. This was not a very good answer because, you know, I'm not a priest. I'm just a doctor. Take it for what it is. And the next question is from Nemo. As a fellow YouTuber who also has to juggle between YouTube and another job, in my case a PhD, I'm very curious to know how you handle all the things you do, especially in terms of time. Do you even sleep? Cheers from Germany, Nemo. More and more as I grow older, I try to make room in my life for the things that I enjoy, the things that are fun. I try to avoid boring things. Don't answer boring mails and don't do stuff that doesn't matter. Try to do the stuff that matters and that's enjoying. That's more and more what I do. And to save time, I also use a good principle that's called the 80-20 rule. I think it's also called the Pareto principle, but the 80-20 rule to me means like with 20% of the effort, you'll reach 80% of the results. And to reach the last 20% of the result, you need the remaining 80% of the effort. So in other words, sometimes just reach for good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be optimized. Often it's better to do something and get it done than to do it perfectly all the time. I think that's also a good rule for people who are a little bit neurotic and wants to be perfect. Try that one. And the next question is from Frankul Yu. Would you choose a different career path, like professional songwriter, singer, instead of medicine? I hate to say it, but no. I think to be an artist or an instrumentalist or a singer, it is a very hard profession. It's very hard to succeed, and actually I think it's easier to succeed as a doctor compared to a professional artist. What I'm doing now is a perfect combination. I can be a doctor, I like that job very much, but I can also write songs and perform when I want. So I think right now I have the best of two worlds. The next question is from Japan and from Lorusösi. Maybe. Can your songs make people in the world smile when posting videos? Keep entertaining us. I hope so. And this is my goal. I think that comedy and humor is important in many aspects. I think it's important for health aspects, understanding people together, it's like peace aspects. Do you know what the definition of a fundamentalist is? Fundamentalist is a person who cannot joke about himself or his cause. That is dangerous, I think. I think it's important to be able to joke and make fun of yourself, because otherwise you take yourself too seriously. We have Rio K here. Hi Henrik. First question, could you describe the taste of surströmming? I love herring, I'll try it someday. For those who don't know surströmming, it's fermented herring. like some kind of fermented, half-rotten fish. It tastes mostly salt, but the smell is amazing. I mean, it smells so bad, and it's a very strong smell. I mean, if you open a can of surströmming on one side of a house, I mean, you can feel the smell in 10 seconds. On the other side of the house, it's like opening like a garbage can. The next question comes from Korea and Motiangi, maybe. Do you love me? Yes, of course, Motiangi. The next question is from India. I and my 11-year-old son watch your videos. We like them very much, especially I Want to Die. Daddy, give me an Xbox. I Can Never See a Doctor, and many more. Your pronunciation is very clear. My questions are, how did you come up with the idea of creating your YouTube channel? It's a similar question also from Apple Minte in Korea. And the short story is that I started my YouTube channel in 2008. At the time, I was singing in a 4-part vocal group called Last Call.
And when you get the chance, haha,
you are the dancing queen, young and sweet and 17, dancing with the beat from the tambourine, oh yeah. You are the dancing queen, young and sweet and 17, dancing with the beat from the tambourine, oh yeah.
And we sang an ironic, sarcastic song at this big university event in Lund. Nicest dinner of the year, and all the newly made doctors are there, and it's like, it is a big thing. And we have this gender study professor that suddenly rushes up, and she yells at us so much, and she tells us, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, she says to us. And after this became kind of a scandal. So the paper started writing, and also some news media, some TV got to know about this. And just to get people to know, to see the song for what it was, I created this YouTube channel just to put down the song. It's called Folkets rättigheter. It's still up there.
Alla har vi rätt att få suga fett, att få suga fett, om man betalar skatt, betalar skatt, sommarkatt, sommarkissekatt, alla ska få ha hotell, stjärnhotell, och en fru som är modell, jättesnygg modell, alla borde ha bassäng, simbassäng, och en hästensäng, i en hästensäng, det vackraste vi vet, som vi vet är våra rättigheter.
Then I started to make my medical songs and stuff, and that became more of the channel. We go on with a question from Renan Hartwell White. Have you studied comedy theory? If yes, which books have you read? Which artists do you observe? I haven't studied comedy theory. I've, of course, read interviews with comedians, and I also listen to good comic songwriters and read interviews. But so like I like Bo Burnham and the New Zealand duo Flight of the Conchords, the Norwegian duo Ylvis, Lonely Island, Canadian Bare Naked Ladies, and in Sweden we have a lot of good comedy songwriters like Povel Ramel, also a newer guy Ola Aurell, so that's very funny. So I haven't like studied it formally. No. A question from Veggie Stew. You have an excellent calming presence that most good healthcare workers seem to have. Do you find that you're naturally suited to that type of work because of your disposition, or it's something you have to work on? I bet dogs love you. Thank you for that. I take it as a compliment. It's a good question. If you work in a healthcare with patients, I think it's extremely important that you, as a doctor or as a nurse, you have to radiate calm and control, and of course it's important with trust. It also gives a placebo effect, and especially important if you're like in an emergency situation, ER or in the OR. Nothing gets better if you start to stress, and if you start to yell, and if you start to signal that it's going bad. But I think you have to work on it. You have to be aware of that. You have to take it easy and be calm. And the next question comes from F. Menke. It says, what would you say, which image of science do you wish to send out to the world with your music? And what is your opinion of science in general? Thank you. I want to send out the image that science is interesting, fascinating, and fun. And I also would like to make fun of ignorance and intolerance, for example, in the song The Anti-Vaxxer. And to the other question, what's your opinion of science in general? Science is essential. It makes us survive. It's oxygen. I mean, most of us wouldn't live today without it. We owe science a lot and should go on pursuing it. From the USA, from Kinsters, we have a question. Whatever happened to Last Call? I know the quartet was laid dormant, but how come? For those who don't know, Last Call was a barbershop a cappella quartet. I'll show you some pictures here.
Some say love, it is like bowling. It's fun, but oh so tough. But I say love is like a pizza. It's filled with different stuff. Some say love. Blomstertid nu kommer. Du står vid Sankte Per. Men du har kört mot Gud, så till helvetet det bär.
We made 2 albums with Last Call, and you can find them on Spotify if you want to listen to them. But 10 years ago, our life became full of other stuff, you know. You have work, you have small kids and other stuff. So we laid down the quartet. We had a pause for a while, and that pause has now been for 11 years. I started myself to write more songs about medicine and healthcare, and I also started a band called Verklighetens Folk.
I'm living on the edge. I'm living on the edge. I'm living on the edge. I'm living on the edge.
To make a short answer, yeah, Last Call was split up, and 2 of the people in Last Call sing in the new barbershop quartet, and me and another guy, we're now in the band. So, you know, music and projects, it goes on and it changes. Next question from Korea, and I think Kim Nam-son. Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola. Messi or Ronaldo? Messi. Milk before cereal or cereal before milk? I would say cereal before milk. Mint chocolate fan or not? I'm a mint chocolate fan. And tea or coffee? Coffee. Victor Lima has a question. How do you manage to have such a wonderful hair? Thank you very much. That was the first time anyone said that, Victor Lima. Thank you very much. And okay, now I will reveal my everyday hair routine. I wake up, I shower, I dry my hair, I put some slimy things into it and comb it backwards, and that's it. From Ping Ping, we have the questions. You Google the symptoms? Yes, I do. I Google both my own symptoms and sometimes my patient's symptoms when they don't see it. But I mean, I've written a song about that you should never Google your symptoms, and I can admit that when I Google my own symptoms, I also get scared, because when even if I'm a doctor and I know risks and stuff, when I look at myself, you know, I also get scared and I get the worst thoughts. I get a headache. Oh, it's meningitis. From Gifted Guitarist, we have the question, what exactly did you study at university, and what was your experience? I study, of course, medicine. It took a while. It always does. But then also I had some breaks, singing and having fun and stuff. So I also studied philosophy, history. I also studied a bit literature and some arts. And I think those courses to me was very important. If you work with science, if you work with people, I think it's important also to know a little bit more, so that you know about people and the humanistic part. I think it's very important. From a Korean person here, I think maybe it would be pronounced Gunjong. How do you get the inspirations? I think you're very busy as a doctor, musician, and uploading in YouTube. I always enjoy your song. Thank you. I would say that inspiration comes from my life, from the work, from the hospital, from patients. I mean, the hospital is a small world in itself. And I think it's a lot of things that happens here that are very weird and strange and would never happen outside. I mean, you can just look how many different hospital shows there are on TV. ER, it was Chicago Hope, Scrubs, Grey's Anatomy, Dr. House, It's a lot of those TV shows because a lot of things are happening on hospitals, and that's what I'm writing about. From Devran Arguna, maybe? In Turkey, we have the question, does making music also increases your work performance as a doctor? Interesting question. I think it does. Maybe not making music, but anyway, performing, I think, actually makes me a better doctor, because when you perform, it's the same thing. You have to be prepared, you have to train, you have to be good what you're doing. But then when you do it, when you meet a patient, when you are in an operation room, things happen that you can't predict. And then you have to improvise. And you have to take the situation as it is. And I think that's a very good thing that you learn when you perform. To improvise and just to, oh, okay, I was practicing for this, but now the situation is this. We have to be happy with it. From Korea and Nyangi, I have the question, do you have a favorite Korean musician? Of course, PSI and Gangnam Style. No, but PSI and Gangnam Style was actually the first Korean song I've ever heard. Korean music in general does not reach Sweden. So I have a friend who loves K-pop. So I've heard the group Mamamoo, for example. I think I like K-pop. They're very well produced, and you have good artists, and they sing very well. Here we have a question from Julia M. Stenberg. What do your colleagues think about your songs? Do they laugh, or do you think it's just silly? Thank you for all the laughs. As a veterinarian, I really can relate to a lot of your songs. And I will actually combine this with a question from Korea, from Gesulyo Yachong, maybe. What your co-workers think about your music and videos? Most people of them like it. Sometimes they think I'm a little bit obnoxious and joke with stuff a little bit too much. In the beginning, I was kind of anxious for this critique because I know, oh, maybe, I mean, maybe they get mad at me and stuff. But after a while, everyone can't love everything I do, and that's okay. But as long as most people do, I will go on writing and performing songs. That's my plan. From Kame Oprin, we have a question. Come to Korea, live performance, I wait. And it's also the same questions, maybe some Fujiwara Norika from Japan. Hi, do you want to perform in Asia? I hope you'll perform in Japan when the situation with coronavirus settles down. And my answer to both of you is I would love to come both to Korea and to Japan. Soon this pandemic is over, and if you know any producer or arranger or for events and stuff, just tell them. And if we can work anything out, I would love to come. It would be a great adventure and very nice to meet you in real life. Now I have been talking, and I would like to finish this Q&A with a song from my upcoming album, X-Ray to Hell. You have to excuse me, but I don't know these lyrics by heart yet, so I have to look a little bit in the paper. But if that's okay with you, I will sing this song. It's called I Give You My DNA, and of course it's about all those sites where you can send in your DNA and they give you all the answers. I look in the mirror on the wall, the usual view, but is that really all? I am much more than what you can see. I want to know what's hidden in me. I go online to suicide with a dude who will give me the truth if I spit in a tube. I give you my DNA and you give me away. I send all of my genes, you say what they mean. Take all of my DNA, I have plenty of it anyway. Genes never lie, who am I? And while I'm waiting, I start having dreams of the big secrets deep down in my genes. Will I get freckles? How many percent of my DNA are from Tashkent? Do I hate cilantro? Am I part Neanderthal? Do I like sweet or salty? Am I related to the Tsar? I give you my DNA and you give me away. I send all of my genes, you say what they mean. Take all of my DNA, I have plenty of it anyway. Genes never lie, who am I? But then I get the email, this was not the plan. I discovered that my father is another man. And when I read on, I grow weak and I slump down on the floor. My dad is Donald Trump. I give you my DNA and you give me away. I send all my genes, you say what they mean. Take all of my DNA, I have plenty of it anyway. Genes never lie, who am I? Genes never lie, who am I? Thank you for listening, and if you like it, please subscribe and hit the notification button if you want. And yeah, the next time I see you will maybe be when I release my new album. Until then, goodbye.